This is Mission Control, Houston. While the Expedition 34 crew is busy inside the orbiting complex working on a variety of different experiments, a major experiment is taking place outside the station. The Robotic Refueling Mission is underway out on the far right-hand side of the station's truss structure. Again, this is a big washing machine-sized experiment that is using the station's robotic arm and also the Dexter robot itself to prove that satellites in the future can be refueled in space. We're pleased now to be joined by Benjamin Reed, who is the Deputy Project Manager of NASA's Satellite Servicing Capabilities Office up at the Goddard Space Flight Center. He has been an integral part of this RRM experiment. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing actually great. Really pumped about the success we had last night. Little sleepy-eyed, but really excited that the first day of operations was so successful, and looking eagerly forward to 4 more days.
So let's talk about why this is important. There's literally hundreds and thousands of satellites up, both, a few hundred miles away from Earth's orbit and also far out there in space by, 22,000 miles or more. Why is refueling these satellites important, and why is it important to demonstrate this on the space station?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with your numbers. There are, as available on the web, something right around 1,000 operational satellites in orbit right now in space. 1,000, and of those 1,000, all but 2 are serviceable. Pardon me, check that, the reverse. Only 2 of the 1,000 are serviceable, and that is the International Space Station and Hubble Space Telescope. The other 998 are not designed for servicing. It's like having an iPhone. A skilled technician can get into an iPhone to replace a battery or a cracked screen if necessary, but not the general public, and not without specialized tools. So these 998 other satellites in space can be accessed. We are demonstrating on Space Station that the tools, the technologies, and the techniques are available now for accessing a satellite's refueling system to give it more propellant. But it's not easy. It requires sophisticated tools. It requires careful planning. But that's the sort of thing that we do for a living here at NASA.
Let's talk about the history of this a little bit, because we mentioned this yesterday that, there's been a number of times that NASA and its partners have had to go up and service something that wasn't exactly designed to have that happen to it. You mentioned Hubble, because there's been a lot of work that was done on Hubble over the years that it wasn't, in the planning stages, they didn't envision having to do that, but they created specific tools for it. They practiced it, like you said. Is any of that, learning that we've had, both on Hubble and other satellites, is that being applied to this in terms of how you go about sort of, attacking something that wasn't really designed to do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We spent 20 years servicing Hubble, we the agency, and throughout those 5 servicing missions spread out across 20 years, we became comfortable with the paradigm that the hardware was in orbit. We certainly knew a lot about it, although never quite as much as you wish you knew when you were building the tools and the replacement hardware. So the hardware is in orbit, so we on the ground are charged with putting together a robust servicing mission, and that involves the replacement hardware. How is it going to be attached? Is it going to be attached with the same technique that the original hardware had on it? The tools to do that work. The procedures development. What in the procedures are going to be the special trips that would cause the engineers on the ground to go into contingency mode? So all that planning, the philosophy of how you build a robust servicing mission was exactly the what has positioned us for being able to do what we do now on the International Space Station with the robots, with Dexter that's up there, and our sophisticated tools that we built for Dexter to use to service a satellite. So what you're looking on the screen right now is an animation of the stowing of a cap that was not designed to be removed by a robot when this cap was when a cap like that was installed. And so, if just a quick little example, if you don't mind, of contingency procedures. So we just last night cut a safety wire. This is a very small wire, 20 thousandths of an inch thick, two of them twisted together. You can see a fragment of one on the screen right now. And when it was cut, it popped itself into a position that wasn't optimal for a subsequent operation. So immediately the team recognized this with the video that we got, and they said, okay, well, we know how to handle this situation. We'll use the tool that's already in Dexter's grip to move that wire out of the way so that the following operation that would occur a couple hours later could be successful. So that type of immediate recognition of the situation and executing pre-planned procedures worked perfectly last night, and that's the sort of thing we did time and time again on Hubble Space Telescope.
How, one of the main differences between Hubble and this is that you had astronauts up there with their own eyes on it. This is quite different because you guys are commanding it from the ground while the space station is up there orbiting. So, what are some of the challenges, and does it make you nervous to be doing something of this size? With something that you really can't. I mean, you've got cameras on it, but you really can't see it up close and personal. You're having to do this remotely.
It's different, and it's the same. We still have humans and robots working together. Astronauts routinely would stand at the end of the shuttle RMS, the 39-foot arm, and have it assist them with their operations. And now we simply have the humans on the ground controlling the arm from the ground. So in that regard, it is still humans and robots working together, being able to do things that neither one can do by themselves as well or as quickly or as efficiently. But it is different. You're absolutely right. The innate abilities that humans have, the on-the-spot judgment, the ability to assess a situation, to automatically adjust your hand, your wrist, if you're not rotating the screw perfectly axial to how it's screwed on, for example. Those are things that robots can't do unless we tell them to do it. So we are quite fortunate that Space Station has an excellent on-orbit dexterous robot, Dexter. And so it was considerably easier for us to put together a suite of sophisticated robotic tools because Dexter existed in orbit. And Dexter, of course, is brought to us by our international partners, the Canadian Space Agency. So it is different because we get so used to knowing what humans can do and not even thinking about it. So it requires us to decompose the way humans normally perform tasks and to make sure that we've programmed the robot and the tools to still be able to accomplish their mission. So it does require a different type of thinking. But I'll tell you what, we've got a great team here at Goddard and at Johnson and at CSA. So I'm incredibly proud of what they've put together.
So you talked about the wire snip that took place yesterday. You guys are going to get kicked off this afternoon with some more activities. Talk about what's ahead for today and the rest of the week.
Sure. Right now, Dexter, as I said, has got two arms. You might think of it as a gunslinger with a gun in each hand, or an ambidextrous mechanic who's got a socket wrench in one side and a drill or another tool in his other hand. So right now we've got two tools out, a wire cutter tool and the multifunction tool. The wire cutter tool, not surprisingly, cuts wire, and that's what it's going to be doing later today and into the wee hours of tomorrow. And in the other hand, Dexter is holding the multifunction tool, and in it is a tertiary cap. And that was removed yesterday. So it's about the size of, pardon the analogy, of a shot glass. But this tertiary cap needs to be stowed safely to make sure that it doesn't come free at any time in the future. So we will command the stowage of that tertiary cap, and then we will commence to cutting two more wires, and we will see where they pop, and we will react accordingly. and that will close out day two's activities.
All right. Well, we will continue to watch this here on NASA TV. Of course, we'll have live coverage throughout the week. Ben, I want to thank you for your time. It's pretty cool to watch this stuff with these robots in space taking place outside the space station. It's a radically different type of experiment, but it's one that's incredibly interesting to watch.
Well, thank you for the time to let me explain what we're doing, and I look forward to 4 more days of continued success.
Thanks a lot, Ben.
Thank you.